Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of September 12, Thursday. I'm Riza Diaz. We start off today's rush with the biggest stories from the dailies. Former Pangasinan Governor Amado Espino Jr. is heavily injured after he was ambushed by still unidentified gunmen. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the incident happened on Wednesday afternoon in Barangay Magkating in San Carlos City, Pangasinan. Police says the assailants killed one of Espino's aides while two of his other staff were also wounded. Espino is now in a stable condition, and former governor had been included in President Duterte's Darko list, but the chief executive later took Espino's name out, admitting that the information was not verified. Meanwhile, Pangmasa reports that 8 people were killed while 16 others were wounded in a separate road accident in Davao City. 4 died in Matina, Pangi after the driver of a truck they were on lost control of its brakes, causing it to crash into an electrical post. Now, the other 4 died in another incident in Barangay Toril when a passenger bus and the wing van collided along MacArthur Highway. And this from the Philippine Star, the Budget Department released more than 82 million pesos for measures to prevent the spread of ASF or African swine fever. The DBM says the budget was released to DA's Animal Industry Bureau on Tuesday. Now, more than 30 million pesos of amount will be allocated for security measures, while almost 28 million pesos will be used to test meat samples. The FDA asked hospitals under the Health Department to report cases of injuries or illnesses related to vaping. That's in line with the reported deaths in the U.S. supposedly caused by the tobacco smoking alternative. Gerard de la Peña will tell us more.
E-cigarette or vape users have expressed their concern after the Department of Health's recent release of policies regarding vaping. The DOH said it will now start collecting data on illnesses or injuries caused by exposure to or the use of e-cigarettes. It has also set an October deadline for the licensing and registration of vape manufacturers and retailers. The creation of the policies coincided with the reports of deaths in the United States related to e-cigarettes.
The safety of these products have again yet not been fully established. Just because there are potentially less chemicals, less emissions from certain products, it does not necessarily mean that they are completely safe.
Lawmakers are also mulling on imposing taxes on e-cigarette juices. The House version of the new Sen tax bill imposes a 30 peso tax per milliliter on vapor products with nicotine salt. This would mean that a 200 milliliter vapor product sold at 200 pesos will cost 3,200 pesos in 2020. This on top of registration fees charged to manufacturers and retailers that go from 5,000 to 15,000 pesos will make vaping much more expensive. Current users say they may either go back to smoking regular cigarettes or look for cheaper but illegal vapor products.
Hindi man ganun kalakihan yung sweldo namin. Doon talaga kami sa mas mura. So, cigarettes.
I'll wait for the underground kung possible na mangyari.
Those advocating the use of alternatives to cigarettes are calling on the government to consider the possible impact of its policies.
We do need the help of government to also give at least a fighting chance for people like me who want to stop. And give them also other alternatives, aside from just, stopping it completely or giving a higher tax rate and everything.
The FDA said it is for participatory policymaking and that concerns of users, as well as the public in general, will be taken into account. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Senate President Tito Soto delivered a painful blow to gender advocates last night after clarifying that President Duterte won't be certifying the SOGIE equality bill as urgent, despite earlier reports. Mean Los Baños will tell us why.
The words came straight out of the president's mouth. In a Malacanang press conference, he said he would certify as urgent the Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and Gender Expression Equality or SOGIE bill.
Will you certify for the SOGIE bill as urgent?
Yes. Okay. Whatever would make the mechanisms of what would make them happy.
But Senate President Tito Soto has a different interpretation of the president's remarks. Soto said Duterte was not certifying the SOGIE bill as urgent, but may have been referring to an anti-discrimination bill similar to an ordinance being implemented in Davao City.
I am told by E.S. Medaldia and Senator Bongo that the president was misquoted. He is supporting an anti-discrimination bill pretty much like the ordinance in Davao, which is encompassing. You should not discriminate upon the elderly, upon the PWDs, upon gender or whatever. It's not like the SOGIE na nakatuon sa mga gays.
The Senate leader earlier said the chamber could pass an anti-discrimination bill, but one that is not focused on members of the LGBTQ community. Soto added that even if the anti-discrimination bill is certified as urgent by the president, there is no guarantee that it will get the nod of lawmakers.
A certification of urgency by the president does not mean that it will be passed. It's only to do away with the 3-day rule, no, from second to third reading. But the question is, will it pass on second reading? There are a number of bills that were certified by the President urgent ito nakaraang Congress. Maraming hindi nakapasa ron.
SOGIE bill author Senator Risa Ontiveros believes there's a policy confusion in Malacanang on how to address discrimination against members of the LGBT community. In a statement, Ontiveros said the SOGIE bill remains the best measure to protect them while promoting equality and diversity. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
And despite being part of the spectrum, members of the LGBT community hold opposing views on the proposed bill, with prominent personalities raising their own points on the matter. Leah Fernandez has the story.
Celebrity hairdresser Ricky Reyes once experienced confusion on how a gay like him should express self.
Nagbihis babae din ako when I were young. I did a lot of crazy things. But at a certain point, I stopped and I asked myself, what do I want for myself?
In an interview with our news team, Reyes said he was invited to represent the LGBTQ+ community in Congress, but he declined.
Ang gay sa Pilipinas, hindi naman dinidiscriminate. There's no such thing as discrimination. Probably it's only in the pigments of their mind.
Ito ay klarong kaso na hindi lahat ng oras, mother knows best.
Trans woman Naomi Fontano said Reyes does not understand that other members of their community need special attention.
Si Mother Ricky mukhang parang nakukulong siya dun sa kanyang sariling mundo, kung saan hindi niya alam na mas marami pa sa mga gay men ang miyembro ng ating komunidad.
The LGBT community seems not exactly solid. The different communities that make up this rainbow coalition of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transsexuals have different views about what they want. Actor and comedian Augie Diaz agrees with the idea of equality, but he is not sure if the SOGIE, or Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity or Expression Equality Bill, is the answer.
Well, kung tatanggalin nila yung S, magiging OG bill yan. Iba-iba kasi, kahit ako ay bahagi ng LGBTQ+ community, magkakaiba kami ng mga direksyon, ng stand. Sa akin, kung equality, pasok naman ako doon. Kung yung walang discrimination, pasok pa rin naman ako doon.
I don't have anything against transgender people. Ang sinasabi ko lang, lumugar tayo sa tamang lugar. Dahil hindi lahat ng tao gusto ng bading. Sapat na yung we are being tolerated of what we're doing.
Everybody agrees any form of discrimination is bad, but they don't agree whether the LGBTQ community deserves a law against discrimination of their own. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
The tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility intensified overnight while slightly changing its course. Now, to give us updates on this, we have with us on the line Benny Estareja from the Pag-asa Weather Forecasting Center. Benny, good morning. We'd like to know the latest on the tropical depression.
Good morning, Risa, and to all the viewers. As of 3 in the morning, the tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility was located 1,645 kilometers east of Central Luzon. Within 24 hours, it's expected to enter our PAR and will be named Marilyn. And based on the latest stock of Pag-asa, it will not make landfall over any part of the country.
Benny, with Marilyn entering PAR, is it expected to affect the Habagat also and bring more rain?
Yes, for now, we are expecting the trough or the extension of this tropical depression to affect most parts of the country. But in the coming days, we're seeing the trough of TD as well as the Habagat also prevailing over most parts, especially southern Luzon, Visayas, and then western Mindanao.
Until when do we expect Tropical Depression Marilyn to stay at the Philippine area of responsibility?
We're seeing Marilyn or possible Marilyn to stay within the PAR within the next 3 days. So up until weekend and early next week, it will still be inside our PAR.
And we expect a rainy weather then. Are there also gale warnings?
Yes, we do have gale warning for now over Visayas and Mindanao. That includes northern and eastern Samar, southern Leyte, Siquijor, southern coast of Bohol, Surigao provinces, including Siargao, Dinagat, Davao Oriental, and Davao Occidental, Agusan del Norte, Camiguin, and Misamis provinces. So as the tropical depression is moving northwestward, we're seeing other parts of southern Luzon to be affected as well by the gale warning.
Finally, are there other weather disturbances?
For now, we're only seeing this tropical depression as the one that we're monitoring, but the others over here in the West Philippine Sea, we are not seeing any cloud clusters.
All right, thank you. That was Pag-asa weather forecaster Benny Estareja. President Duterte says he may ignore the 2016 arbitral ruling against China to make way for a joint exploration with Beijing. Greg Gregorio has more on this story.
President Rodrigo Duterte is open to setting aside the 2016 arbitral ruling that invalidated China's claim over the entire South China Sea for the Philippine economy's gains. Speaking to reporters after an event at the palace on Tuesday night, the chief executive narrated that he and Chinese President Xi Jinping talked about joint exploration in contested areas in the West Philippine Sea if both countries will set aside the 2016 Hague ruling. Duterte added that China is amenable to a 60-40 sharing scheme in favor of the Philippines.
Ang China set aside the arbitral ruling. Okay. Set aside your claim. Then allow everybody connected with the Chinese companies, they want to explore. If there is something, sabi nila, we would be gracious enough to give you 60%. 40 lang ang kanila. That is the promise of Xi Jinping.
The president did not directly answer, though, if the planned exploration would include areas in the West Philippine Sea that aren't contested.
Wala na nga yung, kasi yung exclusive economic zone is part of the arbitral ruling which we will ignore to come up with an economic activity.
In the same event, Duterte again lambasted former Foreign Affairs Chief Alberto Del Rosario for the loss of Scarborough Shoal in 2012.
Ikaw ang nag-retreat, ikaw ang nakita kung Pilipino o kung Pilipino ka. Sabihin mo siya yung, kasi that time nagkaroon ng standoff. Yeah. Tapos siya yung nandoon, sumali siya sa usapan na mag-atras ang Pilipinas, mag-atras ang China. Ngayon, pagkatapos ng istorya, umatras na siya, kati utos nitong Rosario na to, walang takot ka palang.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. Former Gilas coach Yeng Guiao had nothing but good words to describe his stint at the FIBA World Cup. Guiao resigned after the national team's short run at the World Cup, but despite coming home winless, Guiao was thankful for the opportunity to train and lead the team. The veteran coach maintained that his World Cup participation is in the highlight of his career regardless of their record. And Guiao admitted that even if he had known about the results of the tournament, he would not have any second thoughts about coaching the team. Meanwhile, Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas President Al Panlilio praised Coach Yeng for taking on to the challenge to lead Gilas Pilipinas men and for giving his best shot. This, Panlilio says, spoke volumes about his respect that he has gained throughout his career from all of the members of the Philippine basketball community. And here are the stories to watch out for later today. Senate will continue its investigation into the implementation of the Good Conduct Time Allowance Law. President Duterte will be in Bataan for the inauguration of the province government center and a business hub, the Bunker. Meanwhile, Vice President Lely Robredo is back in her hometown, Naga City, for the Bishop Francisco Gainsa Trade Fair. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.